So these days, everyone is talking about one thing, which is protein. You go to the gym or you exercise, everyone is either talking about protein or they are conscious about their protein intake. But most people don't really understand how protein works. And the sad part is that social media and the fitness industry has made you believe some concepts about protein which is not true. Yes, there are a lot of misconceptions surrounding the idea of protein intake that no one is going to tell you about, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you because these exaggerated beliefs not just make protein a superstar, but it also makes protein equally harmful. And by the end of the video, you will understand the truth about protein intake. So first, let's understand this. So protein is one of the essential macronutrients. It's good for the body, not just to build and repair muscles, but also for various other functions like cell signaling, hormones, blood clotting, detoxification, immune function, and so many more. And even though many people look at it as just a muscle building benefit, there are tons of other functions in the body that require and need protein. And when you decide to start to work out or go to the gym, there is one major misconception, that is the more protein is always better. Because firstly, you worry that you're not getting enough protein, and people feel that the more protein, the better. But it's not true. And let me make this simple to understand. So the amount of protein intake for men and women that each require depends on several factors like age, activity level, and overall health goals. But there is something called as the RDA, or the recommended dietary allowance, that provides general guidelines for protein intake for most healthy individuals. They recommend that a healthy male adult should approximately consume around 0.8 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So for example, a sedentary adult man who weighs around 70 kilos. So you just need to multiply your weight, which is 70 kilos, into 0.8 grams, which is around 56 grams of protein. And that's what you require per day on a minimum. And with women, it's the same. So an average sedentary woman weighing around 55 kilos, you just take that weight and multiply it with 0.8. So sedentary women would need around 44 grams of protein. Now, this is the minimum requirement we need to prevent protein deficiency in an average healthy individual. And you can check for yourself by doing this very simple calculation above. And if you are active and do endurance activities like long runs or bike rides, you might need a little bit more, like 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram. And for those who are into strength training and building muscle, quite similar, which should be around 1.2 to 1.8 grams of protein per kilogram. And hardcore bodybuilders and elite athletes may go for even more with protein, so over 2.2 grams per kilogram. But the thing is that most of us are neither elite athletes nor bodybuilders nor heavy lifters. And many of us out there are just working out to keep ourselves healthy, active, or to stay fit. Or maybe to just transform by the way we look. But what happens when you consume excess protein? If you really overdo it with protein, your body might use some for energy or convert it to fat because it can't store too much protein. Excess protein can also cause a few problems, one of them being strain on your kidneys. So think of protein in your body like building materials at a construction site. Your body carefully manages the protein it needs, and if you give it more than it can use, it breaks down the excess into amino acids. Now these amino acids can produce ammonia, which is toxic. And to make it safe, your body combines it with carbon dioxide and turns it into urea, a kind of waste container. And urea goes straight into your kidneys, and when you pee, it takes the ammonia with it. So like a construction site, your body handles protein efficiently. But excessive consumption can increase the nitrogen load, and the kidneys may need to work harder, and this causes the kidney stress, leading to an increased GFR, and a higher GFR can place added stress on the renal system. So excess protein might put your kidneys under pressure. And where we are going wrong is thinking that the more protein, the more better. But what I mentioned above is approximately what you need when it comes to protein. So it's not about the more protein, the more better. It's about getting enough protein. Now, one thing you notice is that when people think of protein, the misconception is that animal protein is the only source of protein. And people believe that if you're vegetarian or vegan, you don't get enough protein. But the truth is that all proteins in the food chain ultimately originate from plants. Yes, plants are the primary producers of protein in the food web. They use energy from the sun, water, and nutrients from the soil to synthesize amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein, through a process called photosynthesis. And these amino acids are then used by plants to create various proteins that make up their structure and function. Now, when animals consume plants, they obtain these plant-derived amino acids and use them to build their own proteins. So basically, you are consuming the middleman. And many plant-based protein sources are quite incomplete in protein, that they lack some essential amino acids. So consuming a variety of plant-based sources like legumes, grains, nuts, and seeds in a balanced diet easily helps you meet all the individual needs to get all the essential amino acids. So just mix it up. Complementary proteins from different plant sources can provide a complete amino acid profile, so just have them together. Now, there is another misconception or a myth that many people believe is that you need to have protein supplements. So, people believe that protein supplements such as powders and shakes are very important for building muscle, and regular food sources cannot provide you that amount of protein. So for this purpose, they believe that you need to have protein supplements. But that's not true too. While many protein supplements can be convenient for people with specific dietary needs or preferences, they are not superior to whole food sources of protein for muscle gain. So enough protein for muscle growth can typically be obtained from a well-balanced diet. That means try to have a variety of protein-rich food. Now, regular consumption of protein in high levels can potentially contribute to a condition known as metabolic acidosis, which is an imbalance in the body's acid-base levels. And this can potentially lead to a negative calcium balance, which may result in a higher risk of bone health issues, including osteoporosis. Now, there is something called the pH balance. Now, think of your body's pH balance like a seesaw. On one side, you have acid, and on the other side, you have alkaline. Your body wants to keep the seesaw level maintained. So now when you eat a lot of protein, your body notices that there is more acid coming in, making the seesaw tilt towards the acid side. And to bring it back to balance, your body decides to use some of those bicarbonate ions, and this helps. But it also makes your blood a little less alkaline, like moving the seesaw down on the alkaline side. So to get rid of the excess acid, your kidneys use calcium from your body as a sort of acid neutralizer. And calcium is like a sponge that soaks up the acid and helps get rid of it through urine. So the more protein you eat, the more acid your body makes, and the more calcium your kidneys use to get rid of the acid. And this can result in loss of calcium through urine, which can be a problem because calcium is important for strong bones and other bodily functions. And one of the last misconceptions is that the source and the quality of protein in your diet also plays a role, because it matters. Now, if you go to a restaurant and if you have fried chicken and you think that maybe you're getting a protein, well, something like a fried chicken is exposed to high temperatures in hot oil. And these high temperatures can cause the proteins in the chicken to denature, which means that they change structure and lose some of their functional properties. While this denaturization doesn't completely destroy the protein, it can make it less digestible and reduce its nutritional quality. So go for proteins that are easily digestible. So the digestibility of a protein source refers to how easily it can be broken down into amino acids during the digestive process. And factors like cooking and processing and food combinations can affect protein digestibility. So protein is super important for our bodies, but there are some things people get mixed up about. So some folks think that you need a lot of protein, but usually you just need enough. Not too much, not too little, just right. And even though people think that protein only comes from meat, well, that's also not true. You can find protein in lots of tasty things like beans, nuts, and even tofu. It's like a big buffet of protein choices. And here's one big secret. Eating too much protein doesn't make you a superhero. Our bodies are very smart and they know how to use just the right amount of protein that we require. So don't get carried away with social media and the protein industry. Just educate yourself on this and you'll be fine. And if you are living in an urban city, then you don't really need to worry about protein, because most people living in cities or in developed nations consume enough protein as compared to those living in rural areas. So your chance of your body being deficient of protein is very rare. And just remember to eat a mix of yummy foods and your body will have all the protein it needs to grow strong and be healthy. Also, if there is a misconception about protein that you know of, let me know in the comments. So until we meet again next, don't stress and be awesome. Russia that.